Las Vegas Filipino Resource Guide is a vital tool and a helpful media outlet for business enterprises to connect and to reach out to Filipino American consumers. For more information, go to www.lasvegasfrg.com or you can email at lasvegasfrg@gmail.com.
It's the ultimate guide to anything Filipino in Las Vegas. This is the Las Vegas Filipino Resource Guide radio show on PHLV Radio.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone out there. This is Lonnie Andel from Las Vegas Filipino Resource Guide, and my guest tonight is Noel Casimiro. And for those who say, why does his name sound familiar? Well, it's parallel to Foodie Fest, which is coming up in a few weeks, and we'll talk about that. But most of all, I want you to know who the man is, how he got here, and this is where he started in Las Vegas. He's born and bred, yes, ladies and gentlemen, born and bred Filipino right here in Las Vegas. Welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So we were just talking just casually about the good old days. You were born here in Las Vegas, went to El Dorado High School.
Correct.
And I was asking him, so how many Filipinos were there in your class?
So barely any Filipinos back in the days.
Right.
The huge migration of Filipinos was probably like around 1986 is when they started coming, and I noticed more Filipinos at our school. But before that, it was barely any Filipinos. Yet
we keep coming in droves. It's like a pilgrimage.
Oh, yeah. Now we represent, 60%, 65% of the Asian population in Las Vegas?
Over 250,000.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
That's
huge. Come a long way.
For those who are listening, I met Noel possibly around 2003, 2004, while I was working at a title company. And I had hired one of my dear friends, Rowdy Inocencio, as a marketing rep. I trained him. And he introduced me to Noel and his buddy at that time, Ed Belecha, who you all know with Palm Mortuary. And I could always find them. They were doing business, which was great for our title company. And how I found them is they would be on the golf course.
Yeah.
They were doing business on the golf course.
We're still doing that. We're still on the golf course a lot.
So, Rowdy, I know you're in the Philippines. If you have a chance, take a listen. I'm sure people will be, did she just say Rowdy Inocencio? Yes, I did. So we'll do a shout out to him. So in starting out, let's go backwards. Today is Foodie Fest. How did you start in the business?
In the event business?
In business in general. What was your first acquisitions, let's say?
Okay, so I guess I could say, so after high school, I actually ended up becoming a valet parker and a limo driver.
That was good money.
Yeah, I did it for 11 years. And then, I just got tired of being capped off as far as what I was making, and I started seeing old friends of mine that were in real estate and doing mortgages and pulling up for the nice cars. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Saying real estate or mortgage? So I said, I got to check out this real estate mortgage thing. So I became a loan officer, and I actually got involved with that, and I owned a blinds and shutters company at the same time, and I ran that for like 13 years until the crash, and then I lost everything.
We were just talking about that too. In 2008, for those who are new to Las Vegas, in 2008, like all over the country, the bubble hit us really bad.
Hard.
Really bad. I think people just started to recover, and then COVID hit.
Yeah, exactly. So, when that hit, I just lost everything, and that's all I knew was at that time, outside of becoming a valet parker, was real estate. I didn't know anything about business, but I found myself having to reinvent myself, and it was maybe 2 years until I finally started rising out of the ashes from getting hit and losing my house, losing my car, losing everything.
So the point of turnaround was finding another dream?
Yeah, absolutely. Finding another dream, finding what I always had a passion for was being an entrepreneur. And I didn't really know how to get involved in the business, but it kind of like evolved from when I was in the real estate industry. I started, I'm always about personal development, and I started learning more about business and marketing and all that stuff. So when that, fell off the deep end, I got a lot of knowledge and skills, as far as marketing and a little business savvy from being in the real estate industry to start other things. And Actually, I used to also run a lot of nightclubs and stuff here in Vegas. I was on the nightlife scene for a very, very long time. From doing raves in the early 90s to running, managing a bunch of the nightclubs out here. Mm-hmm. And that's how I actually got involved with doing events again, is I came full circle as a volunteer when I was the state vice chair for NAFA.
NAFA, sure.
And we were thinking about, what we need to do something. What's a solution for the division that we have in our community? And we came up with, we need to put together a Fiesta Filipino event and get everyone involved.
You're the one who got that started.
Yeah, well, not me, but me and NAFA.
Right.
We all said, okay, let's brainstorm, and we all brainstormed. Let's put together a Fiesta Filipino event. Then we'll get all the organizations involved, and that'll bring unity within the organization, within the community. And that's how we ended up doing the Fiesta Filipino event. And it turned out to be a huge turnout over at Lorenzi Park.
Right. Huge
and then
successes.
We did another one right after that with the Jabberwockies performing at the Boulevard Mall.
I was there.
18,000 people showed up in a one-day event. And so out of that, basically I was like, that was around the same time, 2009, during the crash, when I was trying what am I going to get involved with? What am I going to get into? And I figured, you know what? I did a great job, with a volunteer group, doing this part-time, bringing 18,000 people to an event with a whole everyone volunteer, that I could turn it into a business. Then we, created Red Dragon, and we did the Las Vegas Asian Food Festival.
Right.
And then after the Las Vegas Asian Food Festival, me and my partners said, we need to get into food trucks. That's what's in right now. And so that's how the Great American Foodie Fest came about, and we put the Las Vegas Asian Food Festival to the back burner. But we still want to actually bring that back.
Well, I think now especially this would be perfect considering with COVID, people not wanting maybe still to go into restaurants. This is outside. The foodie trucks to me is like the answer.
Yeah.
When you have an event coming up, what, April 8th?
The next Great American Foodie Fest will actually be our 10-year anniversary.
Wow.
So we do it twice a year. What a blessing. I can't believe the stuff that we've done well, and we've lost a lot of money in between with bad events because of the weather and whatever reason, but we survived. So here we are 10 years later. It's going to be April 8th through the 10th at the Galleria Mall.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Actually, that's why we did Fusion at the Galleria Mall.
It was at the Galleria Mall, wasn't it? Yes, it was.
It
was. I do remember.
Noel and I go way back when I was the EVP at Asian American Group, and we combined our sources with Noel and the Asian American Group to put on this thing called Fusion. And again, people, they're surprised to see so much talent, so many people wanting to take a booth and show what we have. It was sort of like San Gennaro was considered very huge in its heyday.
Oh, yeah.
And this was up and coming to be the competitor to a San Gennaro feast. And now I don't even know if there's any more San Gennaro feasts.
They didn't do their event last year,
They didn't do it, yeah.
I'm not sure if they're coming back this year, but I know they didn't do it last year.
So who are the foodie trucks that you have? Give us some tantalizing appetizers of what you're going to have.
Oh my gosh, we got so many new trucks, and I have a department that handles all that. They handle all the food trucks, but off the top of my head, I know we have Cousin's Maine Lobster. They're great. They have amazing lobster rolls, and they've been featured on Food Network, Cooking Channel, Travel Channel. What else we got?
I know you have I Love Cotton Candy.
I Love Cotton Candy.
That's my girl. Isn't that Esquivel's?
I can't remember. I'll be honest with you. I don't know who was in or out because I don't handle the food truck stuff. I'm trying to think. I know who else. What other?
Now, when you do the Foodie Fest, I think you did it in California as well?
Yeah, we expanded. We did one in San Diego. We also did one in Arizona. And we refrained from doing that because the cost of marketing and bringing our whole team out there logistically, it cost us too much money. It just didn't make any sense for us. And
so Vegas is sort of like your base?
We're going to keep it in Vegas, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What about any surrounding areas do you think would be just as advantageous, going further out, like Boulder City?
Well,
when they
I
have
think
the
our
Renaissance
sweet spot
there.
was like more centralized Las Vegas.
And
Like,
everyone comes in.
yeah, well, the two, our highest attended events were at the Link and was also at the MGM property across from the Luxor where the Route 91 was. Where the shooting was, we were there like a year
The
before
variety
that.
is unbelievable. You have to go starve yourself for the first 3 days so you have an empty stomach.
Yeah.
Because you just can't go and just go to one truck, especially when you see international food and you want to taste it. So you start early, make sure you have nothing in your stomach, and don't buy the, thinking that's your first meal and that's it. You've got to have the little tasting. Be a taster, and by the time you finish at the end of the day, you will not only be full, but you'll be ready to come back the next day. And I think you also have bar stations. Don't you have bar stations?
Yeah, we have bar stations, live entertainment, carnival rides, all kinds of stuff. And our tickets, if you pay for one admission, it's unlimited reentry. You can come back the next day and the next day. You can come back all 3 days, and there's no additional cost. All the other festivals out there, if you leave, you come back the next day, you have to pay admission again.
So how much are the tickets?
It's $7 pre-sale right now, so you can save 30% if you go to GreatAmericanFoodieFest.com. And then at the gate, it's actually $10.
And kids, is it the same price?
Kids
or half
54
price?
inches and below are actually free. Yeah.
Well, a lot of short Filipinos will come in, I'm sure. Papi, he's 37 years old. Don't call me Dad. I'm your son. So, looking at and I asked you earlier for your bio because you are so eclectic in what you do that it's the answer to success that you have now. People see someone who's successful. They see that one image, that one dimension. They don't realize how many successions of success and failures got you to this point.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're out there talking about their success, they don't remind people of that they got there because failure is a necessary step towards succeeding. And you have to embrace failure and fail forward. And a lot of businesses that I could have gave up on, I failed probably at like 30 different businesses, which is why people, they see, oh yeah, he's successful in this business, but they have no idea how many businesses I've lost, how much money I've lost, the stress that you've gone through, late nights, weekends. They have no idea what goes into becoming an entrepreneur.
What crosses your mind, like when you do that failure, who around you, or what's your inner sanctum spirit to get, let's do this again, let's get up off the floor, let's form a new idea. How do you do that?
Well, I was blessed to have a mentor in my early 20s that basically said, you want to be successful? And I said, yeah. And he goes, who's teaching you to be successful now? Like, not really anybody. And I missed my, college thing. I, dropped out. He goes, well, I can still help you. And he started basically giving me a bunch of books and teaching me about personal development, which I never knew what that was. And he would, just give me a bunch of books to read and, help me,
he mentored
research.
You.
Yeah, he mentored me, helped me research people who are successful. What do people that are successful do rather than other people do? And then, so, that's when I understood the principles of failing forward, like John Maxwell, I got that from, and learning how to embrace failure, learning from your mistakes, never giving up, and stuff like that. But the amazing thing, I have to put my faith into this, is when fast forward in 2006, and when I really put God first in my life and I started reading the Bible. What blew me away, I have to mention this, is I've read hundreds of books and learned so many success principles, and all these books I've read, from being an entrepreneur, marketing, business, but also being a good father, husband. I'm constantly learning, not just about business, but how to just be successful in every aspect of my life, right? And then I read the Bible, and I started reading the Bible. I'm like, oh my goodness, all these books. Since I've been reading since in my 20s for 20 plus years, and the more I started reading the Bible, I'm like, everything is derived. All these success principles are in the same book, in one book that was written 2,000 years ago, and that blew me away. Anyways, I had to mention that.
So you would think that it's more of a spiritual thing to find the strength within yourself to go on.
Absolutely.
I know sometimes when I talk to people and I hear especially young people, they'll go, well, that was my dream and now I don't have my dream. And I turned around and I said, so get another one.
Exactly. Never give up.
It's not just one dream. You're not given just one dream or one dream chance.
Yeah.
Don't give up. And it shows you that you took whatever will and power. You said, okay, this didn't work. What can I learn from this to go to the next stage and maybe do something else? This gentleman had Fuku Burgers, for those who remember, on Jones, and then he opened up, I think, the one on Rainbow, further south.
We opened one on Buffalo and Warm Springs.
I am telling you, these were knockout burgers. I know people go, a burger is a burger. No. When you had this burger, you were like hooked. It was very unique. A lot of American people never tasted a burger like that before. So what was the secret ingredient?
Well, we actually partnered, I don't want to take all the... So basically, Colin Fukunaga is the founder of the food truck, and Robert Magdalene. Colin's Japanese and Robert Magdalene's Filipino. Robert Magdalene is actually the chef who put together that whole menu together.
Oh, okay.
And so they started the food truck, and me and my business partner with the Foodie Fest, we were big fans of Fuku Burger. We'd always followed them and eat. We loved Fuku Burger. And so when we did the Foodie Fest, we invited them to be part of it, and we saw the huge success. They had long lines at Foodie Fest. So we eventually, approached them and said, hey, would you like to partner with us and open up a brick and mortar? We're big fans of yours, and we became good friends with them. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. But that came out of a failed business. So me and my business partners with the Foodie Fest, we opened up our first restaurant, and we failed at it. We lost a lot of money. We even shut down before a year. We were like 11 months and we shut down because of a lot of unforeseen costs on restaurant repairs and equipment. But again, we could have quit and say, you know what, maybe the restaurant business isn't for us. But we looked and we just basically assessed what we did wrong. We're like, you know what, we're not giving up. And so, what can we do to replace this restaurant? And we Fuku Burger came to mind, our favorite food truck. And so we approached Colin and said, hey, we'd like to partner with you. And he said, okay, let's go take a look at the restaurant and see the equipment. And, that was history. And now we've had our first restaurant in Jones and Spring Mountain has been a huge success. And our second one over at Buffalo and Warm Springs. And now we have the largest restaurant inside the Allegiant Stadium and Raider Stadium.
Huge.
But I have to mention that I let go of my partnership and I sold it to all my business partners because I moved on with a bunch of other different ventures.
So you to me, you're a success story that we can make claim to right here in Vegas, born and bred. And where's your family from in the Philippines?
Manila. Yeah, both of them. Well, what's so funny is my mom and dad, they lived in the same neighborhood. They never met each other until they came to Las Vegas.
No.
Yeah.
That's hard to think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everybody would know each other in a small town, small city.
Yeah. Yep. Right on the corner of each other. They didn't meet until they came out here.
We were going down memory lane because I know that Noel's family was here in the 50s.
My dad in the 50s. My mom was 60s.
And they, too, worked at Don the Beachcomber, where Bernie Benito worked at Don the Beachcomber. My godfather, Pacifica Luz, and Teddy Fronda, they worked at Don the Beachcomber. I don't think there was one Hawaiian. There may be one or two Chinese that were there, but everyone thought you were all Hawaiian. So, because that was the big thing, Don Ho and the Hawaii Five-O. So,
tiny bubbles.
Yeah, tiny bubbles. The two places were Don the Beachcomber and Aku Aku, and had the Hawaiian show.
My dad worked there too.
At Aku Aku?
Yeah, he did.
So did Rosita Lee. She had her Hawaiian show there.
Oh my gosh, no way.
The people don't realize there's history.
World.
We have history.
I bet Rosita's met my dad before.
Evidently, yeah. I would think that we didn't have any organizations or meeting halls or like a Filipino dance. No. So we all kind of stayed separate from each other.
Yeah.
We knew we were all here, but we didn't know in the numbers of how many that was here.
Correct, yeah.
And it's one of the last ethnic groups to really form our communities like we have. The Latinos, they did a step up in grouping themselves, and so now we're in the head of the parade in that.
Absolutely.
Because we have all kinds of organizations. I think what you started, though, with your Foodie Fest, since you started the Foodie Fest, there have been more trucks at gas stations, at tire places, with little Mexican stands. I noticed that years ago as I'm driving by and I'm thinking, I smell food, but I see a tire place.
Yeah.
And they would have these little type of foodie trucks, a stand right there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how could they do that? And now they're all over town.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go there at night, it's packed.
Oh, yeah.
So you started something in that people were realizing, well, this is not a bad deal, to have this food outside.
It's awesome to see that because we've seen it at other major cities in New York and L.A. L.A. is where it got really big first. And it's awesome to see that happening here in Las Vegas. We thought it'd happen a lot sooner, but it's here now. So
I think your last one that I went to was at Sunset Station.
Yep.
Sunset Station was huge. You could just, like I said, start in the morning, have your breakfast, your lunch, your snacks, and travel around. And you have these little areas, like little tents, like little stand-up, pop-up bars where you could relax a little bit. You have rides. You have all kinds of reasons to be outside, and I think people feel safer that way as well.
Absolutely.
To be outside. So your Foodie Fest, I'm looking forward to it because I have a ticket. And I'll only give them to my best friends. So if you think you want a ticket, you'll have to contact me. But Noel, what do you foresee in the future? We've got the Foodie Fest. We've got your other projects. What's something that you're still kind of mulling around?
Well, my last business venture that I'm really still trying to launch, and I had to put it in the back burner because of COVID, was Hoodie Flags. If you go to hoodieflags.com, Hoodie Flags is the world's first wearable flag. And me and my business partner, I can only take credit for it, my business partner, he got the idea of watching, the Olympics and watching the World Cup, and people, the fans or the players always trying to wrap their flag around them to represent their country. Well, the flag was never designed to be worn.
Right.
And so all we did was we took a regular flag, we stitched a hoodie on top of it, we put drawstrings here, and we made it 100% waterproof. So now it's a poncho, because if you tie it all the way, the flag goes all the way around and it stops right here. And it encloses your whole top area. Put the hoodie on, it's a poncho. So you can take the hoodie down and you can wear it as a cape. And we put loopholes at the top end of the flag so you can wave your hands and eat and stuff like that. The flag is still on. And so Hoodie Flags is my last business venture. And right before COVID hit, I was in negotiations with a company called Logo Brands to solidify sports licensing. I was going to start making NFL, different NFL, hoodie flags. I was going to make NBA hoodie flags, NASCAR hoodie flags. In fact, if you go to hoodieflags.com, we have all the designs already ready. But I have not got the licensing solidified yet. Right. Because of COVID, this company that I was working with, Logo Brands, they're like one of the largest sports licensing companies, and they got NFL, NASCAR, NBA, baseball, shirts, hats, umbrellas, blankets, you name it. And so when COVID hit, all the manufacturing facilities were in Asia. Of course. And so to this day, they're still going through a lot of quality control. They've been backed up with inventory, and they put our deal on a back burner. And so I'm just crossing my fingers that we'll be able to bring it back. I think that's something that everyone would love to have. And during holidays, July 4th and Memorial Day, we'd all put that on for sure. Well, that's one thing I'm actually switching. I put all, because I have other businesses and I just really couldn't focus on that, and I was just waiting for the sports licensing. I'm not going to wait for that anymore and just put all my hopes in just that. I know that we can do well just selling just international flags. I believe the American flag, going after patriots, and what I think that would do really well. What about the Filipino flag? I got tons of Filipino flags too. Absolutely. That would be so much fun on the the Independence Parade is coming up in May and June. Huge. So that would be huge for us to have. Absolutely. Maybe that's something you could jump in on, because everyone's always saying, "Oh, let's get a T-shirt." If there was an actual marketable item, you didn't have to go get a T-shirt, make it up. There would be something that you could just go online and order. Yeah, that would be wonderful. Absolutely. So, in the presence of Noel, he started out in
NAFA.
Yeah.
In the young group, which were
the Young Filipino Professionals
Filipinos.
Association.
And this is to tell you, and this was what, 25 years ago?
I can't remember. It was a long
time ago.
Yeah, 2000.
And this is to show you those people who were in that group. It was you. It was Steve Lanosa. It was Mindy. Melody.
Arthur De Hoya.
Melody.
Melody.
And Melody.
Yeah.
Because you have a group of people who were in their 20s, who were business people, business orientated, and they grew. And this is what our community is about, to see our Filipino citizens grow into contributing citizens to the community, doing projects that enrich our lives and bring a reason for we were saying yesterday at our mixer, for Filipinos to come into Vegas, because it's still unturned territory that you could come in and plant your flag and become something.
Absolutely.
I've always felt Vegas is a place where dreams come true, and you're the perfect example of that. I know that when the COVID hit, we all kind of disbanded, and only lately in the past couple of months, we've come out of underground like gophers. We've sort of surfaced, and it was like, oh, it's so good to see you.
Absolutely.
Because that's what we would do. We would go to these events, we'd see each other at picnics and at installations, and it was always so good to just wave hello, that it's good.
We were a family. We always saw each other. Every month there was a community event. We'd
Every
always
weekend
see each
in
other.
the summer.
And all of a sudden, just this huge pause for 2 years, and you don't see anyone. It was a really weird time, but
because we're very social that way.
Yes, absolutely.
We're very social that way, and I think you are a perfect example of the Filipino of 25 years ago is still not only here. You didn't go to another state. You stayed here, and whatever dream you were going to concentrate on, you made come true. And like you said, some didn't go the full run, but that doesn't mean you dropped the ball. Sometimes you have to metamorphose yourself, and you have to morph into something else, and you continued.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Never give up.
And like I said, when you have a dream and someone says to you, well, your dream didn't come true. Yeah, and I'll just have 99 more dreams to follow that.
I have lots of people that always tell me that, haters, and but instead of letting them get to me, I would use that to motivate and light a fire in me to prove them wrong. There's no revenge like massive success.
Oh yeah,
and
living
that's
good,
what
living good.
Yeah, and so that's why I just never gave up. I would use that opportunity to, instead of getting angry, I'm like, I'm going to use that to motivate me instead.
Well, I think that what you represent for us is the spirit of the young Filipino who's now, not that you're a senior citizen, but
I got grays coming in now.
You got grays.
Though.
Richard's got
God.
grays. Oh, in the audience is Richard Aguilar, for those who are wondering who I was referring to. He's gone natural.
Rich.
He's gone natural. He's the silver fox now. Yeah. They all know him to be the silver fox, but he's got the wingtip. I drew a cartoon one time. I said, you remind me of like a shark or a dolphin. You have that little wingtip, for those who know Richard Aguilar. So the spirit of the young Filipino who is now the mature Filipino still in business is a wonderful thing. And when I read your accolades of being involved, yes, you didn't disappear. You just morphed yourself into something else, something better, maybe sometimes not so good, maybe sometimes good, but you learned from it.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. You learn from it. And your family had to be behind you going, okay, my son, just go another route.
Yeah.
When you have people behind you to support your dreams, even though they don't see it, because the only manifestation is your dream is in your head.
Yes.
And it's hard for people to visualize your dream until it's finished.
Correct.
But if they stand behind you and give you that extra support that you need to go on, you're a soldier of life.
Like I said, I was so blessed to have a mentor in my early 20s to basically show me.
Is he still with us, this mentor?
Yeah, he's still around. Yeah, he's still here. And I want to, and so I like to pay it forward as well. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur out there and you'd like to get some little advice, I'm open to have coffee with you and just give you a little, just lead you in the right direction.
So do you think that's something that you could spin off to, having a mentor seminar of sorts?
Yes, I've always wanted to do something like that. I do something like that more for in the Christian community.
Okay.
And so me and my other business partner, we teach a seminar workshop. We basically train a lot of Christian men and women who are in the marketplace, who, businessmen and women, and we train them how to partner with God, put God first, how to apply biblical principles to their business to be successful, to create wealth, not to maximize self-interest. We're not teaching them to create wealth so they can drive more fancier cars, bigger houses. We don't teach that prosperity gospel stuff. We teach people how to create wealth by applying biblical principles, but to create wealth, not to maximize self-interest, but to give back. Mm-hmm. God always knows what we have in our hearts, and He wants to bless us. And He's so good that He wants to even overflow that cup. He wants to give us more than what we need. But the overflow is not for us to be hoarders. The overflow is to give back to those who are less fortunate, to fight against human trafficking, homelessness, hunger, and help those who are less fortunate. That's what the overflow is all about. And so, last thing I want to end with this, well, not end this, but, when I mentioned that, I consider myself now a kingdom entrepreneur. And everything that I do is to, of course, I want my family to have a great lifestyle, but there's only so much that I just want to take care of my family. But after that, everything else, I just want to, give back and give back and give back. And maybe I don't want to mention this, but I'm going to. But my whole goal eventually is to live off of 20% of my wealth and give away 80%. Because I heard someone that people were doing that, and I'm like, wow, I'd love to do that. I'd love to get to that level of giving. Mm-hmm. Living off of 20% of what I make and then give away 80%, that would be awesome. But so I consider myself a kingdom entrepreneur, and we do seminars and trying to teach other Christian men and women to do the same thing.
That would be glorious, because what you're literally saying is straight out of the Bible, taking care of your brother.
Yeah.
And we lost that along the way of success to the average person was the bigger house, the bigger car, the bigger jewelry.
Yes.
That was, you went down that road.
I thought you
thought that was the road to be.
I always thought that success was all about money when I was in my younger days, until I met my mentor and he started teaching me, no, success is every aspect of your life. And if you don't have, look at the people who have everything, the celebrities who have all the wealth, all the fame, and yet they're suicidal or their life is miserable, they're on drugs, it's like that. It's in the Bible, it says, my riches come without sorrow. The blessings will come, you'll have it, but you won't be stressed out. You won't live a miserable life. You'll be happy. You'll live a life of fulfillment and meaning, a purpose and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I think too, when you are on this course that you're on, if and when you leave this earth, you don't leave alone, because you've touched so many lives to make it better, so many lives to give them that fire under them that they could do it. Because a lot of people would say, well, I don't have this, I didn't have this money, I didn't have this education. And you're saying that doesn't play. That's not into the play. That's not the reason for you not to be successful.
It's not. I missed my time at college. I dropped out my third semester of college. I come from a broken family. My dad and mom split up when I was in third grade, and my mom was a cocktail waitress, and she was basically always going to work, providing for me, my brother and I, until my dad and mom got back together later after high school. But I was raised by a single mother. We had no structure whatsoever because there was no one around. My mom went to work swing shift, and me and my brother were alone by ourselves. And I just did the best I can with what I had, and the things that I didn't have, I used it to motivate me to work harder. So even I didn't have the privileges like most people, a lot of other kids.
Well, that's just it. A lot of people, they would do the standards of, well, that person didn't have the education or the environment or the wealth, and that's why they're not successful or they're not a contributing citizen. And that doesn't have to be, because our great writers, composers, artists.
Oh, yeah.
They come from very poor backgrounds,
Yes,
very
yes.
humble backgrounds. It's that person who's, I believe in my thoughts, and it's just in my thoughts, that everyone gets a little bit of gift from God. He says, you're going to get this and you're going to get that. He doesn't give you everything,
I believe that.
but he gives you the ability to get it.
Absolutely.
And that's what I believe in my heart. And I'm a Catholic, Roman Catholic since my dad and I. And if you get that one gift, embellish on that gift, and don't be concerned about all the other things you think you're supposed to have, because he gave you that one gift. He didn't have to give it to you.
Yeah.
Give you that one gift. Now it's your job to go out and get the rest of those gifts.
Absolutely. I believe God will give you the opportunity and he'll equip you. You just got to meet him halfway and get off your butt and meet him halfway.
Yeah.
One thing I know is, me and Christian, he'll never just like give you everything. You have to meet him halfway.
He knows because he made us. He knows that we have the ability to do great things.
Absolutely.
Not to sit there and pray, give me this, give me that. I always say, God's very busy. He doesn't want to give you your car, or when people are gambling and they're saying, oh, give me a 21, and they're calling that up to God. No, God's in Vegas for sure, but he's not going to grant you wishes to do a 21 on your card. He's saying you've got everything. You've got your brain. You've got breathing, your eyes. Now make it happen for yourself. Stop asking, gimme, gimme, gimme. You need to go and acquire it yourself.
Exactly.
A long, long time ago, and people know how old I am because I always tell you, years ago, I was going through a very dark time in my life, and all I would say is, God, just give me the strength to hold on this day, and I'll make it happen. And that's all I would do in my mind, to hold on, because there was a lot of stuff going on. And it's like, if you don't have a person or a thing, you have to believe there's a bigger spirit than you, and you got to hold on to that.
Absolutely.
And once you do that, you just say, okay, I'm good. Every day I wake up and I see all around me what's happening on the news, I go, I'm good. I'm good. I can see, I can hear, my eyes are working.
Yeah.
You've got to be grateful for the little things you have in your life.
100%.
Of course, there is a huge amount of people who don't even have that.
Absolutely. The key of getting more is appreciating what you have. I truly believe that.
I think that's why in the Filipino communities, a lot of our people do the mission.
Yes.
Because they want to give back. They know what it is like to be in a third world country. They know what it is to have less. And they feel a little bit, I would say, not bad guilty, but that they have the American dream now. That's why they do the missions, to be able to say, hey, I didn't forget you. I didn't forget where I came from.
I admire so many of the Filipino community leaders out here in Las Vegas and NAFA. A lot of people that are involved in NAFA, they've been giving and giving and giving and giving. Rosita Lee, Bernie Benito, Jajaranis. I can go on and on and on and on and on. Amy Belmonte. I mean, they're always just constantly giving back to our community selflessly.
I don't think I've seen any other community, ethnic minority community, that does that to the point that we do. I mean, yesterday at our event at the Philippine Chamber, we were talking about the medical, there were several medical people there, that they were gathering medicine to send back to the Philippines. This is unheard of in other areas, but we do that because we know what they don't have.
Yeah.
And if we can send them Tylenol, bandages, just small things, it means the world, and it kind of like gives you the reason that you're here. You're supposed to do that.
The first time I went to the Philippines, I spent time with my family. My dad's side was pretty well up. My mom's side, very poor. And I remember one of my cousins, I was like, what do you want? What kind of toy do you want? We're going to go to the mall and get you a toy. And my cousin said, I don't want a toy. He goes, just give me money because I need to buy books for school. And I was just like, I was in 4th or 5th grade, and I told that, and I was just like dumbfounded. I'm like, oh my goodness. This kid doesn't even want a toy. He's like, I just give me money so I could buy a book. I just need to buy a book, or just buy me books for my school. And I just, like, me and my brother humbled us.
Sure.
So bad.
I
We're
think
like,
all
wow.
children should go to their country, to whatever that is.
Yeah.
So this way, when they come back to the States, it humbles them.
Oh, yeah. Every time I go to the Philippines, it humbles me.
It humbles
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that people realize that it's a long road and that they're here and they're living the good dream, the good life.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget where you came from.
Absolutely.
That's more important. I'll tell you this, when I went to the Philippines, and that was like 1980, to visit my auntie, and it was the first time we had been writing each other and telephone, and it opened up my eyes because we were sending her money because she needed a bathroom. This is 1980, and she lived in a little house and kind of farmish in Tanay, Rizal. And we sent her money for the bathroom. So when I came to the house, she said, "Oh, you have to see the bathroom." So we go into the bathroom, and it's all tile. I mean, the ceiling is tile. Everything is tile. And I see the commode, and I was like, this is wonderful. She says, "Please, be the first." So I go to the toilet, and, you just instinctively reach behind you for the lever.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, this is a little embarrassing. What am I supposed to do? But next to it was like a tureen of some kind with a level with a spoon.
Yeah, Tabo.
And I went outside to my auntie because there was company in the house, and I said, "I can't flush the toilet." She says, "Oh, very modern, very modern." She comes into the bathroom, she opens up this jar, takes the ladle out, and starts pouring water down the toilet. And I said,
Yeah.
"No, you're supposed to have it so it flushes." She looked at me, she didn't understand, so I said, "Who installed this for you?" So I called them, and he goes, "Oh, that's what that was."
So funny.
He came back and he installed the tank part. It was pressured, so was the tank above.
Yeah.
So when you pull it, the water comes down rather than the water coming up. But it was so funny how she was so proud of this bathroom, and it's 1980.
Yeah.
And she was still using a spoon for the water.
I had a similar experience. Me and my brother, we were like 7 and 8 years old, 7 and 9 years old. It was 1979. And we had to go take a bath or shower, and my mom my grandma had an outhouse.
Sure.
So we had to go out in the outhouse, and we go in there, we're like, what is, there's like moss all over the place. We're like, and there's this like huge giant garbage can full of water, and it was cold, no hot water.
No, of course not.
And my mom started pouring the stuff on us. We're like, and she walks away, and she's just soaping. Me and my brother just soaping each other, and all of a sudden this centipede came out of this crack. It was like this big, and me and my brother, butt naked, run out of there. Screaming. Yeah.
I think people will realize, those things you don't forget. You don't forget. I just know that those will humble you and hopefully bring you to the next point in your life. I know you have many goals to do. You're just starting. You're just really at your ebb of doing great things, Noel. I've seen you for the past, 2003, so I could say, I know you almost like 18 years now.
Yeah.
And to see you reinvent yourself, go for the next gold ring, it's inspiring. It really is inspiring. I think if you do this seminar to kind of relate to people, to let people post their ideas to you just so they could get some feedback, I think it'd be a wonderful, wonderful thing. You won't have an empty chair in the place for sure.
I love doing that because it helps people prevent them from losing a lot of money, from going through a lot of stress. I learned a lot of things the hard way in business. Mm-hmm. And, I know that I can help a lot of people getting involved with business, whether it's a restaurant or whatever business it is, by giving them some advice on like what not to do, what to do. And I love doing that. I love paying it forward and helping entrepreneurs out there.
That's being a teacher. And that's the best thing we could do to leave as our legacy, that we taught someone to do better.
Absolutely.
To do better. I know that I looked forward to having you as our guest because you were one of those people that I said, he's gone from this particular vocation, into this career, and along the way. And that's what successful people do. They just don't do one thing. It's not finding yourself. It's not zoning in. It's like if it didn't reach that capacity of fulfillment for you to be successful, then it's time for you to go to the next step.
Yeah, that's the thing about entrepreneurs. We get bored. I like creating something and then moving on to the next one, to the next one.
It's stepping stones to doing something great, and each
Absolutely.
thing you do is great. It's got greatness in it.
Absolutely. Again, so going back real quick, volunteering for a Filipino community event, which led to owning, starting an events company with Asian Food Festival, which led to the Great American Foodie Fest. Mm-hmm. The Great American Foodie Fest led us into the restaurant business and some other different things. So yeah, definitely, it opens up other doors. So yeah,
that's the creative process, and following that road. Because, like you said, who would think that you started this way, that it would have mushroomed into this?
Yeah, we didn't expect it. It just
you
did.
didn't
It
wake
just
up one day,
evolved.
and say, okay, we're going to do a foodie fest.
It just evolved. Yeah, exactly. It just evolved.
And you're probably not done yet. It's probably another type of business you're going to do for sure.
I forgot to mention, I just started a solar company. Solar business. I think solar's where it's at right now.
Oh, it should be with all the sun we have here.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of politics with that, because that would cut into, the existing power company that we have.
Yes, correct.
So but that is the way to go. California's done it for a very long time.
Oh yeah. So if you buy a home in California, it's mandatory that you buy a home with solar now. You cannot buy any new home without having solar.
Oh.
And that's what's happening. What's happening there, it's going to happen in Vegas.
Please.
So that's why I knew it was like the right opportunity, right timing. And only 5% of homes in the entire nation has solar. Only 5%. And yet the government is also incentivizing people. If you buy solar right now, they'll give you 26% back, and you get it towards your income tax. It's like buying a new car. It's like buying a car for $50,000, and the government says, I'm going to give you $11,000 of that back in your income tax.
That's a no-brainer.
Government's not doing that for a car, though. They're not doing it for a home, but they're doing it for solar. And so I'm like, wow, they're incentivizing people, giving them money back. It's a great opportunity to get into a business that's going to help people. And, one of the main reasons why a lot of people get into solar, they don't realize, is like you're able to lock in a price per kilowatt for the next 25 years. Like if you ask anyone, hey, if you were able to lock down, gasoline prices at $2 a gallon 25 years ago, would you do it? Everyone's like, yeah, of course, no brainer. You can't do that, unfortunately, with gas, but now you can do it with energy. So with energy, it's always gone up for the past, since 1970s. Energy's never gone down. It's always gone up. And so people can protect themselves from that ever-increasing surge of, cost for energy by locking in what the rate's going for today. So 25 years, you can look back and like, thank goodness I did that. Like if you did that for gas, $2 a gallon, you can do that with, it's a great opportunity, I think.
These are the wise words of a young man who is very entrepreneurial, and he does us proud because he does give back to the community. I know that for the past couple of years, he was always there to support the NAFA projects and any of the Filipino communities. The name Noel was like, oh yeah, we'll get Noel. It would be one of those names that you know, because he's very visible, very humble type of guy. And like I said, to me, he's like a young kid that I met 18 years ago. And to see that he's still here, it kind of like gives me a, how would you say, a warm feeling to know that I know people that 18 years ago, 20 years ago, I really do have people in my life that I've known 20, 30 years. So instead of lying about my age, I just have to change my friends because they know, they all know how old we are. But I want to thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
The Foodie Fest, again, is going to be at the Galleria.
Galleria Mall, April 8th through 10th.
And what time zones are that, from what time to what time every day?
So Friday, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., Saturday, 12 p.m. to 11 p.m., and then Sunday, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m.
And where can they purchase the tickets online?
They can go to GreatAmericanFoodieFest.com, and if they buy now, they can save 30% off the tickets.
And that ticket is good all weekend, or do you stamp them?
Yeah, so if they buy one ticket, they come to the event. If they come Friday, we'll give them a wristband. Keep the wristband on. They can come back as many times as they want. Unlimited reentry.
You don't have to cook all weekend.
Yeah.
When the kids start screaming, one wants pizza and the other one wants a lobster roll or some type of Szechuan dish, it's like you can all get it. Let's go to Foodie Fest.
Yeah, so we bring some of the best food trucks that have been featured on the Food Network, Cooking Channel, and the Travel Channel, not just local, from all over the country that have been featured on Food Network, Cooking Channel, and the Travel Channel. So it's a lot of great food that people see on TV brought to one local destination. That's a great American Foodie Fest.
And that's what it's celebrating, 10 years. Wow, is the time going by.
I know.
I remember the first one, I was like, Foodie Fest. And then it got bigger and bigger. And like you say, we all had that interruption with COVID, but we're all coming back now.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll see you there. And make a note on your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. The 8th, 9th, and 10th of April, that's a whole weekend. You got to make sure that you're there. Empty your stomachs, do what you have to do, and come ready to eat. It'll be like Eat Foodie Fest, eat. On behalf of the Las Vegas Filipino Resource Guide, I thank you for this evening. And I miss you, Bernie, and I miss you, Gilbert, but it's okay. I know you're here in spirit. They're on other projects today, but I enjoyed my time with you. So it's Lonnie Andel signing off for the Las Vegas Filipino Resource Guide. Thank you, Noel Casimiro. And Foodie Fest!
The Las Vegas Filipino Resource Guide is a vital tool and a helpful media outlet for business enterprises to connect and to reach out to Filipino American consumers. For more information, go to www.lasvegasfrg.com or you can email at lasvegasfrg@gmail.com.
Just like a friend from back home. This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.